This video is intended to show quickly how to create a central model. To create a central model, you can either do this at the beginning of a project or to an existing model. It doesn't really matter. So to do this, you have to open the file regularly, and then from there you go to collaborate. And as you see, for now, this area which is related to collaboration is grayed out. So when you click on collaborate, it gives you two options. Collaborate within your network, which means in our case at IBI, if I go with this, then I go to J Drive where we usually keep all of our projects, and then I save the central model into the related project number and folder. And then there's another option, collaborate using the cloud, which is a paid service, and it actually allows you to create your central model on the cloud. Well, that we're not going to do for now. So I'm just going to stick with the collaborate with your network and say okay. Takes a little time. So once I do this, you will notice that all these grayed out area is now activated when it allows me to actually go to Worksets. So by default, Revit has two Worksets created, and then you can add new Worksets as needed for the project, which we're not going to go through right now. But the point is, once I make a central model, I become the owner of those Worksets. This is the point I want to mention here for sure. I have to always make sure that when I close the model, I definitely relinquish from all my Worksets and all the elements that belong to me, and I have owned them during my session working with the model. So from here, I can relinquish all mine. And then when I do that, I get the message that the central model has not been saved yet. So that's another point. You have to always save the central model. This is actually the routine. So you save the central model, and then you relinquish all the elements and Worksets you own. So from here, it's very important where I actually save this project, because once I save it as a central, I can't just normally go and grab the project and move it anymore from now on. There is actually a way to move a central model, but that would be discussed later, not today. So I just named this and as I said, here in IBI, majorly all our projects are in J Drive if they're being hosted locally. So from here, I have to make sure I find the project folder. Like I need to know the actual project number and where I'm saving this to. So for now, I'm just like going to this project that I know, assuming that this is the project folder correct for this. And then usually our files, our central models, are 99% of the times under the folder 5.9, which is usually called 5.9 drawing. Oh, well, in this case, it's called comment. Doesn't matter. So then I go to 5.9 arc, and finally, probably there should be like a Revit folder in here. That's the standard we follow here. And I save my file within this folder. And it is very important that you actually save the file in the right location. from the moment it becomes a central model. So once I save, well, I guess that this is too many for me. I usually set it to be like 3. And hit save. So you'll notice that once this file is saved, this sync to central button here will become active. And if if it's not active, then your process has not been done properly. So once I sync to, now the point here is, you see that every time you go and you try to sync to central, there are user-created worksets, which is just the ones that I just showed you. You have to make sure you click that and you relinquish all of that before closing the file down. So there are 2 really essential steps that every user of a central file, and I usually do relinquish one more time and go to central just to be sure that they're all grayed out, and I now know that I do not own anything before I close the file. Well, you could also, like, for milestones or like for starting the project, you can also leave a note for the comments. It's always good to have this in the future for troubleshooting and to go through and see what has happened at what time to the model. So like for now, just leave a note, or it's really an optional thing. So once we do that, and now we close the file. The next time you will, anybody who's using the file tries to open the file should never go from the history of Revit and open it from there. That would cause you to open an unmanaged copy. It could cause the user to open an unmanaged copy of the file, and that's not what we want, because then you lose collaboration with the central model. You don't have a healthy model anymore. So always, always, always we go to open, and then from there we go to the directory of our project and always create a new local. So we never really directly open the central model either. So any user will go open, click the central model, but then create a local model. So these are really the steps that every user should pay attention to. These are the very initial and basic steps of working on a central model. One is to always use open to open a file and never go back to your saved versions on the Revit. And the second is, or even by double clicking on the file in the folder. So you have to always open your Revit, then go to open, and then find your file in the directory and then open it. And then the second thing is, once I do something, I click, I just do modifications to the file. The next step I'm taking is always syncing back to central once I'm actually done with the file. And if there are any active and not grayed out options in here, I make sure I click and I say okay. This way I make sure that before I leave, I don't own anything, and I'm not locking anybody out from accessing any of the model elements or any of the worksets. And That would be all for this session. Thank you.